היי, תקוואק, מדברות הולכות, podcast that will help you to become your own mentor. ניתן Ali Weinberg, the daughter, Nodar Weinberg, the mother, our special guest, Glorיה Grazieus. Say your last name.
Gurses.
And I am still working on my Espanol. And today's episode, in Hebrew, אדון לא פוליטיקליקורקט. איך נראים החיים בפוליטיקה באמת? Mr. not politically correct. What is life in politics really looks like? And before I will let you explain about your amazing journey, I will go to the question.
Perfect.
Then
Let's do this.
you're going to host yourself.
I'm going to host myself. Sounds good. Let's
Because you did it. Hi there, Takwa girls. I have an idea and a question for an important chapter, especially in light of the situation in Israel now. I run a fairly well-known clothing store chain in Israel, but suddenly I feel strange desire to completely change direction and enter the Knesset. All the chaos and the changes recently are unbearable. Maybe a woman can make a difference. When I was young, I always have a sense of justice. It always guided me, and I even served as vice president of the student council. What do you think about political rules? What does it really look like from the inside? What skills do one needs to have, practice, and develop if I decided to start such a bright path suddenly in the middle of my life? I would be happy if you could host a woman who works in that kind of fields. Thank you for me and all the female sex in Israel who want me to influence and get a significant role in politics. Amen to that, girl. We're rooting you. Yay. So, Glorיה, tell about yourself.
Tell me about myself.
Because,
okay?
you know, I thought about what should I say about you, because you did so many things.
I have done a lot of things. It's difficult even for me to introduce myself. But again, thank you, ladies, for having me. It's such an honor.
Thank you for coming.
And I
It's
love
our
this
honor.
question, by the way, because I feel like this question brings about many points, even about my personal life, but a little bit about me, which is difficult to introduce, because I've had a very fluid life. And I think my fluid life, the reason why I've been in industries like the music industry, advertising, politics, I've been in business. I'm now in business. I've been in TV, in production. So it's almost like I felt like I was an open vessel, and I said to God, use me where you want to use me, and then the doors would open and I would go into those areas.
And when you remember that you said that kind of sentence?
Since I was little. I remember being 8 years old. I used to study scripture a lot, and I remember studying about King Solomon, who was so wise, and just looking up and saying, I want to be as wise as King Solomon. And I said, I want you to use me. I almost always had a
Oh my
sense
God,
of
so you don't
purpose.
have Barbies, you just have like Barbies of King Solomon, and you said this is what you want to do.
That would have been fun. But no. I had Barbies, but I was always kind of an odd child in the sense that... Unique.
Special.
Or different, special. You know,
Like a
and
superhero child.
I think we all have our own special things.
Like a hero that succeeded to be one of the people that brought Guatemala embassy to Israel, to Jerusalem, right?
Yes.
It's a big move.
It's
It's a big
deal.
issue, yes.
To me, I think that's probably one of the biggest legacies of my life, is having done that. And I believe that everything in my life aligned to the point where I was able to do that.
Oh my God, this is so smart and sharp. I love you, like your energy, because I know you for 2 seconds. But the thing about life is to understand, it's like before we started to shoot, you said, if you have a door that is not opening up for you, maybe it's not your door.
Absolutely.
Don't bomb your head inside of it.
Yeah.
Just that the universe, where is my door?
Where's my door?
And I think for like a first tool that we can tell her is, if something is like bubbling up from the inside,
Yes.
probably this is the direction for that door.
Yeah.
And probably now, like you said, you are ready.
Correct. And it doesn't matter. It's never late. There's certain things that in that question, like I said, aligned to me. One is that she says, since I was little, I had a sense for justice. Right? So there are certain things that we have in our life that kind of draw patterns as to where our path is meant to be. And it's usually those things that make you that bother you or that call your attention, it's because you're called to make a difference in that area. I never wanted to be in the moon. I never wanted to be an astronaut. No, I didn't care for that at all.
So fly me to the moon, never.
Fly me to the moon,
Or
only
to dance.
Only to dance it. So fly me to the moon, but no thank you.
But no, thank you. So when people tell me, Gloria, how do you know what your purpose is? And I said, what makes you tingle inside? What moves you?
And it's also in like not in a good way.
It's both. It could be something that irks you, that bothers you, and it could be something that
Makes you
that
happy.
calls you, that it's just, you're like, wow, this is it. It's both, because I feel that emotions are there to in a way sound the bell to where you need to go and where you're not meant to go. So one of the things that she said in that question was, I always had a sense of justice. I feel like I had that sense of justice.
Join the club, baby. This is the Justice Girls Club.
The Justice Club.
Since like 6 years old.
Yeah. Right, like we want to just find a way, rectify things, and that's a big deal. A lot of people don't really care. There's people that just don't, they see things happening in Israel or happening anywhere in the world and they're not moved. It does not move
they are
them.
dealing with their own shit. They don't move, it doesn't move them, they don't care.
Them. And that's okay.
Unless they have to gain something from this thing.
Yeah, and that's okay, because I feel we all have different callings. It's like the different parts of the body,
Yeah.
The knee doesn't have to do what the brain does. The heart doesn't have to do what the lungs do.
Oh yes, thank you. Thank you for speaking our language. You're making it so easy. I think I will go to sleep right now and you will run it, because it's like my words anyway, so.
No, we all have different... Okay.
Thank you for
We'll
that.
wake you up in a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so back to the 3 points that I felt were really interesting in this question. One is the sense of justice. The second was, am I too old to make a change in my life, right? So people have allowed society to define when it's too old, too young, too fat, too tall, too this, too that, too black, too white. And, and
Two women, two women.
two women, two men, two
Too strong, too weak.
too fashionable, too
It's the
too
label.
square.
It's the labels that we were speaking about the labels a lot. I think that the labels play with our game, with our
minds.
play with our minds, and create this fake game of who we are, but we are more than the label.
Yeah, but the reality is it's up to us to decide if we're going to allow the limitations to limit us.
Exactly.
Because life and society and the circles that we move in can try to define us, but we're the ones that say, nope, 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 nope. I'm going to move in my space, at my tune, in my music, however it is I feel I need to be what I need to do. So I identify with that because, as you were saying, my life, this whole thing with the Guatemala, moving the Guatemalan embassy to Jerusalem, it's something that was completely not in my wheelbarrow. I mean, I had been involved in politics before, never as a politician. But
What was your first, your
job?
first path in the politics? Yeah.
In politics?
How old you were?
Okay, so I was actually involved in politics. Well, it's interesting.
We just started.
It's interesting.
It will get interesting in a second.
That actually made me think of something that I had never thought about before.
Thank you.
And it's my parents are Cuban. I was born in Guatemala, the country of Guatemala, but because my parents had to leave Cuba as exiles because of the communism in Cuba, and they went to Guatemala. So all my friends were sons and daughters of Cubans, my cousins, everyone. And we were raised very early on to be very aware of what's happening politically. So because our parents...
Because you paid with your life.
Because
of politics.
Their life had to change and they had to completely flee their country because they didn't do what they felt they needed to have done. So they wanted us to have our eyes very open to what was happening. And I remember us being little, like 8, 9, 10 years old, and they would take us to rallies, and we would, so they were very huge activists. So maybe that's when it started,
No, it's true.
Everything connected to our parents.
Yeah.
And thank God, because we have someone to blame all the time, and it's
All
so
the time.
easy,
Or to bless,
To bless, yeah, baby, I'm joking.
Blame and bless.
Both, yes. blame and blast, but I think it's
כן,
part
תפשו
of,
אותי, למה לא?
we're part of the same, it's part of the same walk, right? There's a reason why we are in our parents' life, the reason why they are
We
in
choose
our
our
lives.
parents. If you are taken to the
Absolutely.
Kabbalah and stuff like that, we are
Absolutely.
choosing. We even like did
The
that.
circles,
We signed a contract that in 2023 we will meet and we'll do that, you know, and we will
Yes,
eat strawberries.
Correct, and it's strawberry. Well, we haven't eaten the
Ah,
strawberries
yeah,
yet,
not
but it's
yet.
coming. It's
Not yet.
coming.
We are the
strawberries are coming.
strawberries.
We are the. She's dressed like a strawberry.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, so I feel like maybe that's why it's like I felt like it was okay from the get-go, you know. And talking about parents, I have to honor both my parents because even though they had 6 children,
Wow.
yes, I am one of 6. They allowed us all to become.
Amazing.
To become. They weren't like, you need to be the doctor, you need to be the lawyer, you know. No, they allowed us to become. They allowed us to try out, to try things, fail, do again, but always helping us and elevating us. Yes, you're great, you're doing it. As long as you're doing what you're passionate about, you're good.
Remind me about someone.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. It's not, I feel it's amazing to have a cheerleader.
Yes, it's so sad that the parents, they don't understand it. They want their children to become their own dreams.
Correct. They want them to do what they felt they
What
never did.
Yes, and this is so pity. When you let your child go become, as you said, to become himself or herself, this is what you create. It's like God. He created the Adam and Chava, but he let them choose their pets. He didn't take them here and there. They can choose. You eat the apple, you don't eat the apple. You go on this page or not. And this is, if you want to create and help, you must let them become.
Correct. And
it's nice to hear.
Free will is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And they let you become.
So they let us all become. And I feel like that's why early on I was always very daring.
Yeah.
Very
Who's
daring.
that girl?
Yes. And I was, and it's just interesting, you know, I don't know how it is in Israel, but in Latin America, fathers tend to be very chauvinistic. So if they have a son, the son is the one that gets to do everything, not the woman. In my case, I'm the oldest and I'm the woman, so I'm the firstborn. And then it's my brother, and then all my other sisters. So I only have one brother. But my father was wise enough, and I always tell him this, I thank him for this, that he gave me the honor of the firstborn. So he would treat me as the first one.
As a son.
like Queen Elizabeth.
No, he would treat me like the firstborn. Like he would teach me the things. He would encourage me. Like he literally gave me the honor of being the firstborn, even though I was a woman. And I feel like that was a huge thing in building my self-esteem and feeling like I could do anything. I remember being 12 years old and he would sit me down to read contracts for his business and would take me to meetings and be like, if you have anything to say, you're free to say it. So he gave me the power to speak as a woman, as a young woman, in his own meetings,
beautiful,
backing me up.
Magical.
So it's magical. It's something that
yes.
I cannot say it's me. It's them. You know,
yes.
They built us up. And as you're saying, you know, parents don't come with manuals.
No.
You know, we as parents, I'm a mother. You know, we mess up all the time.
Yes.
And
it's part of our job to mess up.
Well, it's part of our journey. It's to mess up because that's how we learn. You know, our children teach us and we teach them. But I feel like they teach us more than we teach them. But I think if we are willing to change ways, once we see, you know what, maybe the way our parents did it wasn't right, and I'm gonna have the courage to change the way, or maybe what they did was very right. So let me double down and do it even better. I think it's very important. Humility is very important, so we can take the path that we need to take. But going back to this,
my first footprint on the politics.
Footprints in politics was actually later on in life. I must have been maybe about late 30s. So late 30s, I started working for a commissioner in Miami-Dade County, and again, I was behind the scenes. I was not in the forefront.
Not in front.
I was behind the scenes working for this commissioner. I had a very important role with him, and he gave me opportunity to develop and to have leadership in the community, but it was behind him. So I never, was involved in it. And what I did with this whole thing with the embassy, I actually did on my own. I didn't do it with any role. I didn't have a title, and that's something that just blows people's minds. They cannot even understand this.
Yeah.
I didn't do it representing an organization. I didn't do it as any title. I wasn't a commissioner. I wasn't a, anything. I wasn't a diplomat. I just did it. And that is something that people have a really hard time understanding.
Yes, because they don't understand the motivation, and they don't. What did you gain? People all the time are looking at what do you get from doing
Correct,
something, and
correct.
if they don't understand what you get, what you're getting is something that they said something is weird here.
This is connected
sense
to
of
it's connected to the triggers of our soul, as you said, right? She said in the beginning that we all have the thing that like pop us up.
Yeah.
Some of them not always in a good way.
Yes.
And it's take time to hug those triggers as well, right? Because these gestic triggers are not that easy in the beginning, because you see other people around you, as you say, they don't bother about that. And before you're falling in love with yourself, and when you're falling in love with yourself, you're falling in love with the triggers that inside of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can find yourself say, oh my God, why I'm so sensitive? Or why do I even care? What do I, what am I fighting for?
Absolutely. It's in the comparing that we have a hard time. Because when you look around, you said, when you look around, other people aren't like you.
No.
Exactly.
So it's in the comparing that I
And
think
it looks
it's
like their life is easier. It looks
Maybe,
like,
maybe not.
because they are not fighting for anything, and they are getting they don't have the passion for struggling. And sometimes when you're trying to change, you have to fight, you have to struggle. It's not, people they usually don't like the change. So when you are the change, and you are the voice of the change, you are getting, you get fire back.
Yeah.
It's part of who you are. When things are pumping up like this, you must know that your life will be maybe more significant, but you have your way of fighting. It's not like you're doing like this and everything is
correct.
just.
Do you remember
arranged.
a specific event when you were a child, before around even the age of 12, that you reacted to something or you did something that was unreasonable, or something that most of the kids around you?
Constantly.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, I remember us playing a game, let's say Monopoly or whatever, and playing with my cousins, and my cousins would be grabbing money from the bank, grabbing the money
cheating.
so that they could have more money. And I was always like, no, you don't do that. I remember walking out once, throwing the board on the floor, I'm not playing with you guys anymore because you're all cheaters. But it's interesting because, to them, they're just having a good time. They're being children.
Yeah.
But
Now
me,
you know it.
But for
then
me,
it will pop you out.
For me, it was this sense of things need to be done properly. And
Yeah, it's
which,
not
by
fair.
Which, by the way, has been part of my journey, because I had to move away from being so rigid. I had to learn. Part of my journey has been to learn to flow.
Yeah, I'm
And
working
to
on that
not
right
be-
now.
And to not be so rigid. So I think we all have different journeys. And maybe from others is from the, I don't care, to the, be responsible. So everyone has a different journey. And my journey probably it is. and
But
it has
firstborn
been to
are always
more responsible. Yes.
responsibility. They have. It's like they take the world on their
on the shoulders.
on the shoulders. But she also made, when she was a little child,
Yeah,
something
I
like
took it
this.
7 leagues up than you, I think. We play football. I was 7 years old. I was the goat, you said? I mean,
The
one
goalie? The goalie?
the one that saved,
protecting?
the protected. And someone kicked my leg. It was a foul. I swear it was a foul, okay?
It was a foul, people.
But the judge didn't whistle that. So I decided to take my bag as 7 years old and to walk all the way from Kfar Giladi, it's a kibbutz in Israel, to Metula. It's like, I don't know, 11 kilometers.
It's a main road.
You need like a spaceship in order to do that. But I decided that it's not fair, that it was cheating, it's not the truth, I can't bear lies, and 7 years old just took with me my bag and started walking until they called my mom.
Yes, they called me, teacher, your child is running away from school.
I walked with my truth home. I took my truth with me, as a 7 years old.
Yes, and she didn't want to speak to this judge who was working in this school because he didn't whistle the foul.
That makes sense.
It's not fair because he was the adult. He should have done the justice, and he didn't, and it was very disappointing.
But those are the things that mark us, right?
Exactly.
Like they just mark us because that shows a light to your purpose.
If we take into the question, like
exactly
she said, when she was child, she already felt that she was in the child president and in school, and I think that our purpose stuck with us when we were kids.
Absolutely,
and sometimes
we go back to learning it. I feel like society tries to teach us how to be, and then we deconstruct what society imposed on us so that we go back to learning what we knew as child.
To our authentic self.
What we were supposed to be doing in this world regardless. So back to the question, you have the sense of justice, you have the changing in the middle of your life, right? Those drastic changes. I'm telling you, I have done so many drastic changes in my life.
Like what?
Well, I started my career in advertising. Then I went to work for the music industry. I became the youngest female vice president of a record label. So it's like a girl. I was the only woman. I think since I was 24 years old, I have gotten used to being the only woman at the table.
That's cool. That's brave.
As a young woman. I was 24, and I remember being in the music industry, Spanish music industry, and it was all these older guys that were icons in the industry, right? Presidents of Sony and Universal Music and this and that and whatever. And
blah, blah, blah.
And blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
And et cetera,
I know my spirit. Like, my spirit is bigger than yours.
No, but I sat there as a woman, and I never felt less. I was always like, I belong here and I'm going to be here. And I feel like, again, going back to my parents, built me up to have that confidence. But since I was there, since I was 24, I feel like I've been breaking those glass ceilings, right? Whatever women are not supposed to do, I'm doing. And music industry. Then from the music industry, while I was in the music industry, a friend calls me one day at 10 p.m. at night and she tells me, Glori, I have a big problem and you're the only person that can help me. And I said, what's the big problem? And I said, well, I'm going to record a new, I'm going to film a new TV show. I'm like, oh, congratulations. Yes, tomorrow we're going to do 6 episodes and Tuesday we're recording another 6 episodes. This whole time I'm thinking, she's calling me on Sunday at 10 p.m. Monday and Tuesday is the recording of these shows. I'm in the music industry, so I'm thinking she needs artists. She needs me to send her some of my artists to the show, to appear in these recordings of the TV show, right? So I'm already thinking, who's in town? Who can I send her while she's talking? And then she goes to me, and the problem is, she was doing this on her own, in her own time, but she worked for a publishing company, a book publishing company. And she says, my publishing company is sending me to Puerto Rico tomorrow. And I already paid for the recording studio. I paid, this was out of her own money. She was producing this TV show. It was the first time she's doing it. She's like, I paid for everything, and you're the only person that I know I can help me. And I'm thinking, how can I help you? And she goes, well, I want you to take my place as the host of the TV show. Talk about being spontaneous, right? So I said, and she's like, you're the only person that I know I can call at this time and that you will do it. And I said, okay, let's go. And she's like, okay, I'm going to send you the scripts. Bring 6 outfits tomorrow. I'm like, 6
Wow.
outfits? 10 p.m. I have to be there at 6 in the morning. All the girls know finding 6 outfits at 10 p.m. to a 6 a.m. roll call. It's not easy.
That's cool.
So I said, okay, let's do it. And I went and I did it and I loved it. And then one of the other hosts, because it was 2 women and 2 guys, it was a young show. It was really, really cool, like MTV style at that time. one of the girls couldn't do it. Like she just would freeze, and we had to start over, and she just ran out, and she didn't do it.
And I think that the beautiful thing about your story right now, if we're taking that to the politics, it's the ability to react, to change,
in the moment. Absolutely.
To be in the moment, to flow with the flow, like you said, like, okay, it will be okay because I'm trusting myself. And I know who I am. It feels right to me because I'm connected to me. I will do it. And I think
be daring. I think
to
being
be daring,
be
it's part of the abilities you have to have. She asked, what is like the abilities I need to develop, I need to work on? So in order to work on those kind of abilities, you don't have to have this kind of situation. You can, for example, if you're afraid of ski, if you go and meet yourself doing ski, you train your muscle of braveness. For example, you can develop abilities for your goals, not just on the field of the goal that you are pointed to. And it's important to understand that. And the fact that she is so connected to herself and she can react to those, it's like, it's not...
You get the benefit of the chance
that you are... It's not for granted to do something like that. It's big. Yeah?
It's big.
And it's it's the last minute.
Yeah. And it's last minute. And the interesting thing is we need to be daring and need to be courageous. But I feel as women, and this is something that it's scientific. I don't have the statistics, but you can definitely Google them. As women, we doubt ourselves more in terms of our capabilities than men. Like they say, people who hire in roles, they say that women always want to meet all the requirements of the role. If not, they don't apply. Men apply whether they meet all the requirements or not.
No, they are sure they can do it all.
No, they just apply because they dare. And I think we need to, I mean, as women, we need to learn to be a little more daring. We don't need to have all the tools in our pocket before we step in the door. We can go to the mountain
and start climbing.
Exactly, and put on the skis and figure it out.
And maybe you will stuck on the level of 1 for, I don't know, 3 years.
Doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter because you went there. And not enough of people went
Correct.
there.
You develop the skills in the mountain. You don't develop the skills at home watching skiing shows. Yeah. You develop the skills
on real
in
life.
The mountain.
On real life, of course.
Yes. So I think when it comes to politics, what skills do you need? The first skill you need is to have the courage to do. To have the courage to step out, and then to have the humility to have others teach you the way. And also the ear, and here I mean like more like your spiritual ear, your emotional spiritual ear, to make sure you listen to the right voice.
This ear.
Yeah, this ear connected to that
to
ear.
This and that ear.
You know,
what was your biggest failure?
My biggest failure was
while you dare, like you were daring
politics?
And. Whatever you want, there's no rules. It doesn't matter, we can study from everything.
No, I think my biggest failure in my whole life was probably choosing the wrong husband.
Yes, this is the this happens.
But I'm gonna tell you why. It was because I allowed pride to creep in and I didn't listen. You know, it's like the world itself was showing me that was not the path. But I wanted to go through it. Like I was like, this is it. Like, I just became very, in Spanish we say the word terco, stubborn. Very, very stubborn. And it's like, it had to be this way because 1 + 1 = 2. But, you know, I was very mathematic about my structure of how I choose. Again, my rigidness, instead of allowing myself to flow with the flow and to listen and to be a little more humble. Yes. Was part of my journey.
Part of your journey, exactly.
My mother told me so many times, you know, I don't think this is the guy for you. My dad, the day of my wedding, said, you know what, maybe that, or my love, you know, if you decide not to get married, we will celebrate. This whole wedding will be to celebrate you didn't get married. So I was free to choose, and yet I still wanted to do the right thing. You know, the right thing is I committed to I was going to get married, so I was going to get married. And then when things were going to work out, I was going to make it work. You know, it's like, it's the door. We need to
try to open it.
No, you're like banging yourself on the door. When we need to be more humble and say, God, you know, is this the door for me? And sometimes we think we know all the answers, and we really don't know the answers. We are here to learn the answers and to walk through them. And yes, so I feel like in terms of failure, even though I don't see it as a failure now, I see it as
it's a lesson in the
No, it's the
lessons.
best thing. that
Every
ended up-
failure, it's a lesson.
Every
By the
failure-
way, if we're talking about failures, I think that our purpose is in our failures.
Absolutely.
All the clues are there in the biggest pain, in the biggest failures.
Absolutely.
This is like the lucky ace that you're
Yes.
searching when you want to fulfill yourself.
Absolutely.
It's there.
Absolutely.
If you choose to take
and
it there.
honestly, the best thing that happened out of my failure was my daughter, who I adore, right?
Whoosh.
And she's the best thing that could have ever happened in my life.
You have one daughter,
I have one daughter.
and you are like besties.
Besties, and we are just, she's just amazing. She's my greatest teacher.
How old is she?
She's 21.
And she want to go to poly?
I don't know yet. She might. She might.
And if she will?
wants to study law. If she will, I'll back her up whatever she wants to
I'm
do.
asking because she's asking how the politics life looks from the inside, and I was wondering because listening to you, you sound like really for my colors of energy, and me inside of the politics probably will go to jail because I need still to work on my muscles of not saying everything that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And it's challenging
Diplomacy.
inside of the politics. How did you experience that as this just girl? It's interesting.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, again, I have never actually acted in a political role, right? I have been in the political arena, but I have not had a political title, right? So I have not had
Yes,
an
but
official
you were inside
But
the
even
the
though
sea.
when you are when you
I
have
was, no, I
a
still
role
am
in a
involved.
political place, even if it's not you are not running or elected, you should have some diplomatic skills
Absolutely.
to know what to say and what not to
Absolutely.
say.
And to be nice even if you want to
be
hit
nice
someone in
even
your
if you
face.
want to kill someone.
Things that I still need to work on.
These are skills that you
there's
have
a
to.
time for everything. I feel like there are times where you need to be harsh, and there's times that you need to be calm. But certain moments you have to be like, tachlis.
Tachlis. What an Hebrew. Why?
There are certain moments you just gotta get it done. And
But you ever experienced like a bad situation inside?
yes.
Tell us about.
A bad situation? Well, I mean, so for example, when we were working, my
Probably
brother-
with a man, probably with the boss, probably with like something like that.
No, I mean, that happens in any industry. The truth is, relationships and the difficulty with relationships, whether it's a female boss or a male boss, or a person that works for you or with you, that's bugging you, that happens in every
industry, yes.
It happens everywhere. I feel when you are dealing with politics and when you're dealing, it's interesting because I have dealt with celebrities and I have dealt with politicians.
I like that.
Right? And it's interesting because on both sides...
There is an ego.
Well, there's ego everywhere.
Yeah.
Again, there's ego. If she's coming from the fashion world, I'm sure there's ego in the fashion world too. There's ego everywhere because we are humans that have ego.
I'm an alien. I don't know. You're human? Okay.
Like, I'm a human. I'll tell you about it later over coffee.
You think the flamingo is human?
We're weird creatures,
I have hands.
We are weird creatures. We'll tell you about our Earth a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
but
We'll
it's
be
fine.
happy to learn from. I'm always opening for learning.
No, but what I'm going to tell you about these industries is that there's a lot of things that happen that are fake.
Exactly.
People use fake facades. They do use facades, right?
Yeah.
Like they think it's an all year round Purim. They're wearing facades, all masks,
like
all
pink wigs.
And that's when I think it's the time to have what I call the gift of discernment. And discerning is that you're able to listen.
Amazing.
To listen. You need to be able to discern right? So you're not listening only to the words that are coming out of someone, but you're listening to their spirit. You're listening to their intention. You're listening to
energy.
You're feeling their energy. And that might sound woo-woo, but the reality is it's real. It's more real than the words that are coming out of these people's mouths.
Especially in the last few years, it became something.
I think it's always, I honestly feel like us humans have a tendency of you know, showing a face to the world and then having like another intention,
face, yes, another intention, or
you know,
on the
How did you become so involved of like supporting Israel?
Oh, that's a huge story. That's a huge story. I mean, I have been a huge supporter of Israel for many, many years. I think it all started, I don't know, but as far as supporting Israel, but my love for Israel, you know, my love for Israel, my love for my Jewish friends started early on. I was 4th grade. My best friend was Jewish. And she would invite me to her house and teach me, you know, songs in Hebrew. And I would do Shabbat in their house. And I started like feeling or becoming more aware of the culture. And that just kind of opened me up. But later, in my Christian church, which was really interesting at that time, which was a gazillion years ago, guys. Don't judge me.
And she's still hot. This is how she do it in the politics, by the way.
But
this is one of the tools.
It was like a gazillion years ago. It started becoming okay in the Christian church to start dancing during the time of worship. But the only type of dance you could do was Israeli folk dancing.
Show us.
like Rekudim. Like
Show us.
ריקודי עם, כן.
I don't know that you could do it with this tiny little seal and
Yes.
jump and
I
hit
will
my
dance
hand.
Macarena and you will do that. Na, 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 na.
But it was really interesting. So I wanted to be part of the dance group. I started dancing since I was little, and honestly, I dance. That's my form of worship to God. As I pray and I dance for Hashem. Like, this is what I do. It's my communication.
So this is your
Everybody has
profession?
Not profession. This is what I do in the elevator, in my kitchen, in my room.
But don't tell anybody.
I love to dance, and I feel that's my way of
It's
giving
raising your
of
vibration,
myself.
by the way.
Yes, and it's of giving of myself, right? It's my... So I see there's a dance group in the church. I said, I want to be part of this dance group. The only way you could do it, right? I had to first... This started when I was 12 years old, and they didn't allow me to be part of the dance group till I was 14. So because I'm a big nerd, I started studying all of these things on my own. So I started studying the steps on my own, the Hebrew names of the steps, the biblical background on dancing of my own. So by the time I'm 14, I already knew everything. And by the time I'm 18, I had already gone to 8 different countries teaching the biblical basis of dance in churches all throughout Latin America.
Yeah.
Again, my parents that would allow me to do this. I'm 18, I'm traveling, I'm talking to people, I am dancing, I'm choreographing. And then I went to college. I studied Hebrew literature. I was the only non-Jew in the class, so that was hilarious. And one of our assignments was we needed to go to synagogue for like one of the high holidays. I went for Rosh Hashanah. So you chose, Yom Kippur, or Rosh Hashanah. So I went for Rosh Hashanah to synagogue. It was super hilarious because I'm standing outside of the synagogue. I'm a young girl by myself, and there's a line to go in. And the couple in front of me looks back and they're like, "Are you here by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here by myself." And your parents? No, they're home, and you're. So they're looking at me like, this doesn't make sense, right? A young girl of like 20.
It's a family holiday, that's why.
Yeah. So they're looking at me like, okay. And they go, how were you able to get tickets? And I had never heard of such a thing. How do you buy tickets to go to synagogue? Like, I've never heard of this. Maybe it's a U.S. thing. I don't understand. But I was here in Miami, and it's like,
you just go to the synagogue.
No, so here I guess they sell tickets because it's when everybody comes and then there's no space in the synagogue. So
or not everybody that put kippah is a good soul.
No,
this is the truth.
in Israel you can, on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you can buy a chair.
Okay.
It's not tickets, but you buy the chair.
Okay, so you buy the chair. So
Yeah.
it's the same
It's the
concept,
same
I guess, so that
concept.
you have somewhere to
Yeah.
be anyway. So they like, how are you able to get tickets? And I'm like, tickets? I had never heard of this concept before in my life. And they look at me and they say, oh, it's Fishart, because we have 2 extra tickets of friends that aren't coming. You're sitting with us.
Yeah, the universe.
So I was able to be there, and the moment that they opened the ark like this to bring out the scrolls, I just started crying, and it was just this huge, amazing connection.
But now you are inside of a lot of organization, like not-profit
now I serve in certain
had
different boards. But the reason why that started was because I wanted to dance in Israel. So the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem does every year during Sukkot a big event called Feast of Tabernacles in Jerusalem. And Christians go into Jerusalem for this celebration from hundreds of countries, like 170 countries. They come in Jerusalem for this big celebration. I was 20-some years old. I wanted to dance in that event, in the Feast of Tabernacles in Jerusalem. This was my dream. But you needed to apply. There were hundreds of people that would apply, and only 300 would get picked. Finally, I think I was 23, when I, actually, no, maybe 22, when I got picked to dance in Jerusalem. I had never been to Israel, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to Jerusalem. My parents are like, okay, they gave me permission. So in about 2 months, I'm going to be in Jerusalem. And all of a sudden, there was a terrorist attack in a bus.
Oh my God.
It was
Not
the
in
90s?
Jerusalem. It was in the 90s. It
In
was
the
not
90s.
in Jerusalem. It was somewhere else. But when you don't know Israel, you feel like one
was
attack
in
in
Tel
Israel
Aviv.
happens anywhere, happens
Yes,
right
it's
next
the
to where your
same,
daughter
yes.
is going to be.
Yes.
So it was a bus that fell in a ditch, and I think 20-some people died or something. And my parents go, no, you can't go. And those terrorists don't know that when they they ruined my dream of going to dance in Jerusalem, they bought Israel the biggest supporter Zion in the
That
world.
is such a beautiful story. Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
So I was in college, and I became obsessed with learning about the geopolitics of Israel. Would go to every event. I would go to the Hillel, to the presentations, to the talks. I started my own organization denouncing anti-Semitic acts in Latin America. Then I got involved with Karen Chayesod. Then I started helping the Israeli Ministry of Tourism when I was in the music industry, trying
Oh
to
my God, I have
help them
goosebumps.
to open
You
doors.
understand why I have goosebumps?
So it just went from there.
No, because first of all, thank you for that. It's amazing. Also in like
moving
this
also.
fairy tale way, like, because it's connected to the beginning of the episode, because it said our crisis, our no's, our doors that close, open the one
Something
that you
you're
feel
supposed to go to.
they ruin you, and you choose such a beautiful word. They ruined the dream. They didn't know that the terrorists ruined the dream for me to dance, but they make me who I am.
Yeah.
It lead me to my path.
To be the
That
biggest
maybe
supporter
if
of
it
Israel.
wouldn't happen, I would never think about that. I would just dance all day long.
That's
And
it.
it's so amazing that if we are taking that question, maybe we should say it, Bibi. Maybe you should say, Bibi, thank you, because now I have the guts, the beitzim, to leave this clothes change, right? And to go to the Knesset, because nobody can stand you, right? Thank you. Thank you for letting us do and go with our dream, for example. You are rooting for Bibi?
I am.
I'm feeling the energy, yeah. It's
I
okay.
like Bibi.
I'm not
Because
judging. By the way,
it was thanks to Bibi that we were able to
By the
move
way,
this embassy to Jerusalem.
I'm not judging Bibi. I'm judging the fact that he is like holding one truth without letting other truth to be told.
Yeah.
I believe that
I feel
every soul has her own truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of years ago, I voted for Bibi.
Listen, this
When
happens
he gave a room to other truth. You understand? Because you are different and it's
Yeah.
amazing. I am different and it's amazing.
Yes.
She is different and it's amazing. Who am I to decide that my truth is better than your truth?
So it's interesting because it makes me think about how many times I've defended Israel in the face of people talking crap about Israel or talking about crap about Israelis or this or that or the other, and I'm thinking, no one, no entity, no country, no religion, no people are ever perfect. We cannot think and defend the whole of something we can root for parts of it that we identify with.
That whole means that nobody perfect. This is being whole.
But that's what I'm saying. We cannot root for
Exactly.
the whole of it.
Agree with you.
Because there's parts that we identify with and parts that we reject. There are
Yes.
parts, and politicians, sorry.
Politics it's always very complicated and a lot of interest.
No, anything that has to do with the interaction with people, it's complicated. And I feel like, for example, I have a friend who I love, I adore, she's amazing, but if she goes and she does something I don't like, I am going to speak to what I don't like in her.
In her behavior, not the person.
Her.
But this is what happened in Israel, because Bibi as a person, he is one of the greatest people that Israel had, because he's smart, he's handsome, he knows how to speak, and he has a lot of good deeds that he did during his life in politics.
Correct.
It's not that it's...
And that doesn't make him infallible. Doesn't mean they're not going to mess up.
This doesn't make him... Now, because I don't know what you know now about
yes.
Israel, but this doesn't make like the kosher, like you know what it is.
Absolutely.
For trying to make Israel Cuba. This is something.
Funny, you came from Cuba, right? You
Yes.
know, we met, by the way, and I agree with every word you said.
Yeah,
And I will go bigger than that, and I will told her, people think that to be a leader it's so easy, blah blah. Okay, but I don't believe in Bibi's actions right now.
Right,
Thank you for
Making
allowing me to explain myself.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I don't agree with Bibi's actions right now,
Exactly.
because his actions just putting one truth on the table, and there is so many other truths on the table, but. We met this taxi driver like in the last week. It's funny, I'm telling you, I'm here like for almost 3 months. I never met even one Cuban. And then she's arriving.
For 3 months in Miami and not one cube. That's a miracle.
This is weird. I'm a walking miracle anyway, yeah, but never mind.
Good.
But this is also bring me to my fat, so all good. But and I told her it's so weird. We're meeting one and another one and another one. Yesterday we met the girl. This was the first, and now you're like, I didn't know that you're from Cuba originally.
Well, my parents, yes.
But they told, and we're speaking in the cab about. They said, yeah, the Cuba situation, and I'm like, yeah, it's everywhere. It's also in Israel, blah blah. And they said, you know, in Cuba, it started like this.
Yeah.
Yes,
this is so sad.
This is
That's so
why,
sad.
as you said, they should have been awake and aware before it happened. Now in Israel, all the protest is because there are people who are aware and awake before it might happen. But there are people. It's like the country is divided into two different people. It's like you can take Israel now. It's very sad that, you know, all the time we are talking about two countries for Israel and the Arabs. But now, two states for. But now, the atmosphere and the way of speaking. Only today, I had to block in my social media 3 lawyers. From Israel, that when I write a post about protecting the democracy in Israel, the way they react is like go to Gaza. It's like you are the BDS. Things like it's not like this is your opinion. I don't agree with you. I think that Bibi and those people who are now in the government are perfect. What they are doing, it's perfect, and you are mistaken. Okay, everyone has the right for his own opinion, but the people who protect the government now. They are so...
acting like monkeys. This is the truth. Because it's okay not to agree. We are all different.
And we have to speak up.
All different.
I really do feel that in division, it's where any entity will fail. Whether it's government, whether it's a non-profit organization, whether it's a family. You know, when darkness is able to creep in division,
חמודה כזאת.
נכון.
okay?
ממש אבל.
When darkness is able to creep in
This
division,
is what we are so afraid of.
so those of us who hold light, instead of going into our reactive mode, how about we go into our vessel mode, and we're able to go, wait a minute, and then infuse these situations with light. You know, it's very easy to, and again, I love this question because she says, because of what's happening, I feel empowered, I need to do it. Can a woman make a difference? Absolutely. Not only can a woman make a difference, a young person can make a difference, an old person can make a difference, a poor person can make a difference, you know, whatever, a person with disabilities can make a difference. The reality is, when you have a calling within you,
Exactly.
and that calling gets awoken by whatever situation, whether it's because you're
The
seeing injustice,
or
whether you're seeing a terrorist attack, whether you're seeing injustice, whether you're having people telling you nasty things on social media, but any situation that awakens in you what I called that holy justice, you know, sense of justice, instead of going into reactive mode, which only brings more tension to the moment. How about stepping back and say, okay, how can I infuse light into this situation? How can I make a difference, a true difference?
That's amazing. I like that.
And that's different, you know, like in
the only way is if you are not going, if you are going to politics, you can do it there. But the only way you can do it from your sofa is social media, and you have to speak up, but you have to consider what you are speaking, because if you write bad things, only bad things, is like that, she's like that.
No. That's reactive mode. That's reaction.
You don't.
That's not
it doesn't change anything.
No.
But if you are trying to explain why an action, effect that's happening is dangerous. They can cause like maybe something against the Supreme Court of Israel, because it's not that there are not things that you must fix.
Yeah.
It's not that everything is okay, but and it's not everything not okay on the other side. But I think
it's the way that you speak your truth is the way that you choose to act.
It's the words that you choose.
Also the words, but the actions. This is why I'm saying it. If your action is coming on the other person's wheels, if your action and your truth, the way you choose to act in the behalf of your truth, is by deleting other truth, is the most spiritual fantasy, the highest spiritual fantasy. Like you have court and jail in the real world, you have court and jail in the spiritual world. And when I'm taking your free will, even if it's subconscious, or even if it's like with manipulation, or even if I'm using my job in a powerful way,
your position,
I'm doing the highest spiritual fantasy that ever exists. And I think that you said, I really connected to even the world that you choose, like the light and the dark, and this is it. You're putting all dark because you're taking other person's light. And we have like a few other minutes because we have to go to the other episode, and I want to go to the question to hear your opinion. You think does politics, this is from home, from the story, does politics must come with corruption? What do you think?
No. I don't think politics has to come with corruption.
And did you ever met corruption?
Absolutely. I have seen corruption not only in politics. I have seen corruption in many, many industries. I have seen corruption even in philanthropy, in people that supposedly are doing good. And
supposedly, yes.
I have seen corruption. So corruption is everywhere. But does corruption have to be tied to politics? No. Because, again, it's about who says yes to the calling. Okay? Everyone says, no, this person is too good. She shouldn't go to be in politics. No. She's too good. Yeah. He's too good. He couldn't be in politics.
It doesn't fit politics because it's too good. He's speaking nice.
But then if we who have the light step away, then we allow those with darkness to take over. So I am the type of person that I say, if you have the light, you step forward with courage. Because even a tiny little light will light up an entire dark room. And it's not about, oh, there's so much corruption. Okay, then be the light in the corruption.
Where your focus go? It's like in Hebrew you have כל אחד הוא אור קטן, everyone is a little light.
It's like
in
in
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
And
Then we go and we make a difference. So those who have the calling is that. What this person is talking about. I feel something within me. Okay, so it's a calling. But don't take your calling in a reactive way. Take your calling in a proactive way, where you can go and infuse a situation with light, with love, with kindness, with justice, with truth. You know, when we are courageous enough to be the difference, then we can make an impact. Then we can have huge legacies. Then we can put people who think completely different in a room and go forward with one purpose. But that's only when we decide to bring unity in a place of division, to bring light in a place of darkness, to bring truth in a place of lies.
Whoosh, I love you.
We need a new prime minister.
We want to change Bibi. I think he just want to. He's looking for a new one.
To be replaced.
Yes, because it says Golda Meir. You know, it's.
Look, if you got a call.
Hello, Golda. Golda wants you. Golda is on the phone.
Hi, Golda.
When the universe calls, you better answer the phone. You know.
Yeah.
No, but thank you for that. You are. You know, I used to get electricity. Like
I felt it too.
And
there's presence in this place.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. So.
So I say yes, woman, wherever you are, whoever you are, step up to your calling, step up in courage, and do as you are called to do. Don't wait till you have the skills. Don't wait till you have the tools. It doesn't matter if you feel it's too late. Go for it. If the door is for you, always pray and say, is this door for me? If the door is for you, that door shall open, and you will go through it with mentors and people that, if you're humble enough to listen, will teach you what you need to learn to make a difference.
Everyone tells me that I am too direct, but I cannot be hypocrite and not tell my truth. What do I need to learn? Whether I need to learn some diplomacy skills, and what happens if I never manage to learn these politics? Do I have a chance to survive in the real world?
Okay, so it's interesting because life, like any wave, like if you're going to the ocean and all of a sudden comes a wave, if you're not strong enough, if you're not planted, or if you're not flexible enough to go with the wave, it'll take you. And you'll fall over. Like me, I lost my glasses in Tel Aviv. If somebody ever finds my glasses in Tel Aviv beach, please remember they're mine.
It's like the next Golda Meir generation, so it's air glasses, you know.
Yeah. Okay, they're my glasses.
And to our office in Jerusalem.
But what I'm saying is...
Only if you will dance all the way to pick it up.
Correct, I will dance whatever I need to do.
Go.
But the point is, if you're not strong enough, it can completely take you over. Life will teach you when it is okay to speak and when it's okay not to speak. Life will teach you. And it's like, can I make it? Can I not make it? Don't allow fear to take control. If you are walking in your truth, like you were saying, I'm taking your words. If you're walking in your truth and if you're walking in love, because there's two fountains of every action we do, love and fear. Don't walk in fear. Walk in love.
Yes, girl.
Then you will able to do whatever you need to do, and you will know when you can speak and when you can't speak.
And I will add another thing from the NLP world. When I'm thinking about myself something and I'm saying about myself something, I'm like directed my computer there. So if I'm saying I can't be an hypocrite, and I always have to say the truth, so this is what will be. Now I'm learning about myself as well, while I'm speaking to you. But if I have a goal, my acting teacher, Ivana Chabak, if you know her, I always like talk with her about the fact that I couldn't like click to say, oh, such a good job, oh, this casting director, if I'm not staying in the person, I was, go away, I can't be fake, okay? Yeah. And she told me, remember why you're doing that. Yeah. Remember what is the goal. Yeah. And as you say, you need to learn to flow with the energies. It's the same thing, because when you have something in you that is challenging for you, like telling the truth all the time, but you know that if you want to make a change with light and love, you have to go through these energies. Yeah. Maybe it will be easier for you to change the perspective of the word hypocrite, like what makes a person hypocrite. Because
it's not about that. If you have to be true to your calling, and your calling might call you at that moment to not have to speak.
Exactly. So I like that.
And they say in English, there's a saying that says, you'll get further with honey.
Honey.
Yes.
You get a little
With
further-
Holly?
With Holly.
Ah, with
with
Holly.
Holly. No,
With
with
Holly,
With
with
honey.
Holly. You
With
get
honey.
Holly, with
Holly.
Holly.
With honey. How
With
do you say
Holly.
honey in Hebrew?
With Holly, honey dvash.
Honey dvash.
Okay.
Dvash.
Dvash. Dvash.
We talked about it, but people talk about equal rights for women and complain that there are not enough women in politics, but sometimes it seems that when you get into the lion's den, you kind of have to win like a man and give up femininity. What do you think?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I feel that you have to be true to you. You know, how many times in any jobs, not only in politics, in jobs they would tell me, don't wear this, don't wear that, don't do this, don't do that. Again, society tries to make you fit in a mold. But yes, you can be feminine. Yes, you can understand the malka in all of us. I think we are all queens. And if you walk in your royalty, if you walk with your royalty robe, it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, you will be respected, you will have a chance to speak, and you will have a seat at the table. So, and you will make an impact, which at the end of the day is what we want to do.
I want to thank you and to end this great episode, but with this book. What is that book?
This book, okay, so it's actually, I just picked it up a couple of days ago. It's called, in Spanish it says El Peregrino, but the name in English is actually The Pilgrimage by Paulo Coelho. I just started reading a couple of pages actually before I got here, but it called Your Attention. And there's something really beautiful that in those 2 pages it says that I think applies to this episode. And it says, if we walk through our entire life just to find that when we work at anything with passion and with intention, that's really what's going to give us the purpose of our life, then we've done okay. Because that's how we connect to spirit, to the spirit of God.
It's our duty to try.
Yeah. He was saying that he was upset that maybe he was not unique enough, that what he was doing, I mean, I just started reading it, and that this path is for everyone. And he's like, I don't want the path to be for everyone. I want it to be just for me. But you know what? Everyone has an individual path, even if we're all sitting in the same room.
Exactly. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
You're
I had
amazing.
such
I'm
amazing
lucky to have you here. I'm
Thank you.
connected to your truth. Thank you. Keep spreading the light and the love.
Thank you.
You got whatever you need and even like much, much more. I think that even mom enjoyed that. And I think it's the first woman she probably enjoyed. Joking,
Yes,
but...
I prefer men.
Who doesn't, right?
No.
זה היה פוליטיקליקורקט. Love you.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you all.